I am a mother of three. My husband, Claude 60M, and I both come from old money. Our families are very wealthy and have been for over a century. We had a lot in common when we first met in our teens. Each of us was an only child, and each of us kind of found the culture of our lives to be embarrassing and snobby. We didn't end up dating until our early 20s, but it was very much for love. Our parents all passed over a 10-year span when we were in our late 20s to mid-30s. As the only heirs to the estates of two prominent families, we became very, very wealthy with the combined inheritance. In addition, my husband has done very well managing the estates, investments, and businesses of our families for the last 30 years. Not being one to just sit around drinking tea and looking pretty, I got into the real estate market, which I admit is something that is easier to do when you already have tons of disposable cash on hand. I now own numerous properties on the West Coast that turn nice profits. We instilled a lot of value towards hard work into our three children. We both agreed before we got married was, just because we are rich doesn't mean we should be useless. Obviously, just like we were, our children were extremely privileged. However, we tried to mirror a typical childhood experience. They had chores, they were required to get jobs once they were teens. Yes, they had new expensive cars. Yes, they went to top private schools, but we did our best to make sure they didn't turn out like our friends. I put that in quotes because Claude and I always air quoted when we said friends while growing up. So many of them were beyond helpless. It was honestly sad, and needless to say, many have gone from helpless to worthless as adults. Our oldest son, Byron, 33M, has become a successful lawyer. He married his longtime girlfriend Ming about 4 years ago. Our middle child was our only daughter, Darcy, 30F. She is still single and has gone into a number of philanthropies that we are very proud of. Our youngest son, Damien 27M, is my concern in writing this. 7 years ago, he met his now wife, Kylie, 27F, while he was in college. They have provided us our only grandchild, Grand 2M. Unlike our older children that chose to go to traditional Ivy League schools, he elected to go to San Diego State University. This was fine. It was his choice. He has always been his own person. He was different from the other two. They always seemed to embrace the expectations. Always very much fit the mold you expect of people born into this kind of life. Damien did not. He was quieter, yet sure of himself. I remember when he was very young, he rarely ever cried for any reason. As he grew up, it seemed like he was often the center of attention, yet he needed none of that. I often thought he could be just as happy in a room of his 10 closest friends or completely alone for a week. Damien went into a tech field and now works as a software developer. He obviously wants for nothing with millions in his trust, but I find it refreshing that he lives the way he chooses to, and not by the degree someone of his status is expected. Kylie, for being a regular girl, has fit in very well with our family. I've always said Damien really lucked out with her. She is the most charming, kind woman. She always seems absolutely obsessed with Damien. They have so many common interests, and she is beautiful on top of that. Kylie never disappoints when with the family either. She takes a real interest in all of us and can't wait to dive into anything we have planned. She has been a very quick study at society events too, always impressing, which I know can be hard when you don't grow up in it. Our grandson is just the sweetest little boy, and I love him so much. This is also what makes the news I received so hurtful. I recently had a friend visit me that I had not seen in person in a few years. It was really nice catching up, because the last time I saw her was nearly 4 years ago when she got divorced from her husband after 34 years of marriage. We didn't really talk about what happened then, but I do know that she had discovered her husband was a frequent customer of an escort service. During her visit with me, we mostly just got caught up on our current lives, But towards the end of the visit, the conversation did turn towards her ex-husband. There was definitely some lingering bitterness there. As she talked, it turned to sadness. She expressed it's been really hard on her because she knows she never looked like the girls he was paying for. She had even found some of their pictures on her ex-husband's computer. She pulled her phone out, a few tears forming, and opened her photos. They were like advertisements. These were what the escort agency sent for clients to choose from. She scrolled through a few, holding the phone so I could see. I didn't really want to see, as she was venting, saying, "How was I supposed to compete with that?" I was mostly trying to console my friend, one because I knew this had to be hard, but also because I knew she would be embarrassed having shown so much emotion. That was until I noticed the tattoo. I stopped my friend scrolling. There were only 3 or 4 pictures she had gone through. The girl in this picture looked exactly like Kylie, well, at least like she looked when she was 20 to 21 years old. That would have been around the time her and Damien met, maybe their first year of dating. I could have rationalized the similar appearance. Sometimes people just look a lot alike. However, in the picture, you could just barely see part of the same Bulbasaur tattoo that Kylie has on her inner bicep. It has to be her, I'm sure of it. I don't want to ruin my son's marriage. Maybe he knows about this part of her past. I won't judge. I swore a long time ago that I wouldn't become one of those people. It's just that this photo could very well be from when they were dating, and I feel my son has a right to know. I don't want him to get hurt if something comes out later. I think the best course is for me to do a little private detective work and figure out if this is all in the past, how far in the past, and to what extent. Then I can go to my son with all the information.